This is the Firestone radio from the other video, and I wasn't going to work on it, but I've since seen a couple restore videos by rather popular vintage electronics enthusiasts, and I saw some really sloppy work, especially with the soldering. So I wanted to use this radio to demonstrate some of my soldering techniques, as well as just testing techniques. Now this had all the tubes were missing out of this thing, and also the screws are missing out of the bottom, which is never a good sign. So what I wanted to do today was pull this apart and have a look and see test a few different things before I either order a set of tubes for it, you can buy them real cheap, or dig them up. This apparatus uses inventions of the United States. Imagine that. Alright, so the first thing I think of when I see the tubes removed and the screws missing is that this thing was had something else catastrophically wrong with it, to where they just basically said it's not worth it, I'm going to pull the tubes out of it. It does look like it's got a new power cord on it, or a replacement power cord. It looks more modern on the inside. These IF cans don't usually match octal tubes. That's kind of a weird... Oh wow, look at this. Looks like somebody... Boy, you want to talk about a crappy soldering job. Have a look at that. What is this all about? I mean, some of this is okay, but... So we've got new resistors in here. I don't know if these are new capacitors. I am imagining they are. They look like those crappy Japanese ones that are always leaky. It even looks like this is a new lamp. Oh, I see. What is going on here? These two wires here, this wire and this wire, go to the lamp. Is that a blob of solder right there? Sure is. So this is the power cord coming in. What is that? Brown, orange, black. 13 ohms. I don't know, it's kind of discolored. I'll have to ohm it out. Well, anyway, the first thing I wanted to do is I want to connect the function generator and feed a signal in and check the speaker and audio output transformer. So I'm going to do that first before I get into this. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay, this is set to 1 kilohertz. Alright, speaker and transformer are good. Speaker and transformer are good. I don't know about the IF transformers. They could have bad capacitors in them, silver mica disease. However, it does look like they would be easy enough to take apart. From the bottom. This is not really what I wanted. I wanted a radio where I could do some of the capacitor replacement. But this thing might just be plug and play. Just stick the caps or the tubes in there. I don't like this though. I don't know what this is all about. I wonder if I could get a schematic on this thing. I wonder what year this is. A27. Alright, taking a closer look at this, this is orange black, so that's 33 ohms. And taking a closer look at this dial light, this is not factory. This is China all the way. And how they have this wired in here, I mean the factory would never route wires like that up through the tuning condenser. That's just horrible. How they have this wired is they have one side going to the line and then they have the other side I don't even know. Look at this. Power switch, other side of the power switch, straight to there, straight to the chassis. Talk about a hot chassis set. What a hodge. So this would be pin, looks like pin 1 is tied to ground. Pin 2, pin 3, so they got the light bulb tied between pin 3. I got the schematic in the house, so we'll go take a look at that next. And then pin 5 has got the 33 ohm. Alright, so on this, the schematic for it, it does not show a dial light. So basically the line comes in and this is pin 2 and the resistor goes between pin 2 and 5. Pin 3 is left open. So the filament is 2 and 7. I'll go look at this. Okay, well, if I'm reading this right, this is pin 1, which is tied to the chassis, which is ground. This is pin 2, and the thing there is broken off. This is pin 3, pin 4. Okay, pin 5 is where the resistor is tied to. And then I believe I said 7 was the continuing on to the other tube. So 5, 6, 7, this is 7. So this should continue on to the IF transformer? No, I don't think so. I must have the wrong wire here. Okay, it's this wire here. Yes, it continues on here to right here. So, this being broken off, I think that creates a problem. Because they're feeding it pin 1, pin 2, pin 3. They're feeding the light bulb into pin 3 instead of pin 2. Alright, so I said they're feeding the light bulb into pin 3 instead of pin 2. Well, okay. So if this is a 35 volt tube, pin 3 would be half the filament, so I wonder if the light bulb is supposed to take up the other, what, 17.5 volts? But then you'd only have half the heater on the light bulb, I mean on the rectifier tube, so the rectifier tube would only be getting 17 of the 35 volts through the filament. It would probably work, but not very well. So basically the whole reason why this tube, the filament is center tapped, is for a light bulb accessory, but this set never had that. You can't just run the whole entire filament string through the light bulb, because if the light bulb goes out, then the filament string stops. But when you have the filament tapped halfway like that, you can have the light bulb in parallel with the tap on the tube. Yeah, you get it. Alright. Let's see what voltage this is. Okay, this is 6.3 volts at 150 milliamps. That is not going to support well, what is this? Are these tubes 150 milliamps? They might be. That might actually be right. But still, this tube is not going to get hot enough like that. And you're replacing a 17.5 volt filament for a 6.3 volt filament. Now that extra voltage spread across the whole string probably wouldn't do much but shorten the life a little bit. But still, this is a mess. Maybe I should just put it back in the... Okay, looking back over this video, this is super confusing, so I wanted to just clarify this. This is a 35 volt total tube, okay? This, between 2 and 7, is 35 volts. Now, this and this filament are not equal. Basically, the way that they designed this, the reason why they center tapped this, was to add a dial light. So the way this should go is if you're going to do this, the dial light should go right here, in between 2 and 3. the dial light should be in parallel with this filament right here. And then this should be the line in. And this should continue on to your other tubes, okay? Well, what happened here was this had broken off right here. So I don't know what the thought was. Because this was broken, they would add a light bulb to offset this 6.3 volts that was lacking in this because this was broken off. But it's not designed that way because the current flow, it needs to be in parallel with this tube. See, this is all designed for this. I hope that makes it clear. The light bulb goes between 2 and 3, but it needs to be hooked to both 2 and 3, not just in series with this cut. Another mistake I made was I said these are 17.5 volts each. They're not. This one is essentially 6 volts, and this one's essentially 29 volts to equal 35, but not exactly, because there's a current offset when you have the light bulb in series with this, or in parallel with this thing. So just a note on that. This is, you know, like, look at this crap here. This thing is the main thing you want to do is anytime you solder something, you want to create a sound mechanical connection between the two joints before you solder it. You don't just want to lay the wires next to each other and blob solder on them. That's unacceptable. You need to wrap it around or J-hook it or do some kind of mechanical connection. See how this is bent over that? You really need to do that plus more. It needs to hold together really well without the solder. Look at this right here. I'm not saying this work is necessarily bad, and this is not what I was talking about. What I see people doing is just laying the wires on top of each other and blobbing solder on them, and that's not acceptable. There needs to be a sound mechanical thing there, and this, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Alright, well, I'm going to order some tubes or try and dig them up. And the volume control could still be bad. The IF cans could be bad. But we've tested the audio transformer and speaker, so that's a start. I want to get that stupid light out of there. If I was going to put a light in there, I'd put one of those little orange neon bulbs with the resistor and across the line, the entire 110 volts. I wouldn't try and modify it, and I have to figure out how to tap into that broken thing on the tube socket. Back on the Firestone, I got on eBay, and for a really reasonable price you can order complete sets of All American 5 octal based tubes. Really reasonable. I think this was shipped was $15. Used, tested, you know, and again, testing tubes doesn't really guarantee anything, but it's worth a shot to try and save this radio. Let's take a look and see what they sent me. Alright, there they are. All tubes have been populated. Followed the chart on the back. And This was the one that had the botched in light bulb with only half the filament powered on the 35Z5. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm tempted, I'm not quite sure if I should dim bulb this, put a light bulb in series with it, just bring it up on the Variac and watch it real close. I guess I could just do that. Alright, I'm going to bring it up on the Variac. Going to just kind of watch for a flame out, I guess. Kind of watch this light bulb and the tube filaments. I'm real curious as to why this radio was retired. Why were the tubes pulled out of it? Did the owner find a better radio? Was there another problem? Oh boy, look at that. That's at 8 volts. That's at 15 volts. $30 volts. Of course, as the tubes warm up, the resistance drops. No, wait. As the tubes warm up, the resistance increases. 40 volts. They're starting to glow. 60 volts. 70.
선착순에 한해서 저희
Sintonía de Radio Nueva Vida, alabando a Dios en todo momento.
8 el teléfono, debo decir 866-407-9770.
You know, it's really interesting to me, two things. Are we really truly using all of our might to fight? U.S. pilots confirm that the Obama administration has blocked 75% of ISIS airstrikes. Let me read that again. U.S. pilots confirm Obama administration has blocked 75% of ISIS airstrikes.
country artists.
Te lo platico.
One.
The issue isn't just democratization.
I wonder if that buzz is being picked up from the Variac into the antenna. Let me ditch the Variac.
Either as writers or radio hosts.
Yeah, I'm going to plug this in. Now let's just see if it blows this light bulb out. Holy...
Lead in both of them, which drives the establishment nuts. But that's not my point either. My point is, who's...
That's
Very
true,
confusing.
but that was shaved off.
You know who doesn't have a beard and might...
Do we sit at the same table?
A year ago, we probably wouldn't have heard anything about that yoga class, but... Is there the best thing about the Clippers is what Luke Walton said during the game the other night when they were getting their ass beat by the Clippers, which is the best thing about this is it's early.
The next shooter, I think one crazy group is inspiring the next crazy. And then you can try it at home. Risk-free for 30 days. You better get on this. The Bell suburb. And Elizabeth Palmer is following this investigation.
But of course we've been doing this for 18 months, so there must be nothing that anybody else can do.
Now that buzzing, what? It appears that they got rid of the across the line cap. And I don't know if that, or is this the across the line cap right here? This wax thing. No, this is not the across the... Look at this. Okay, the next thing is we need to go through and tighten all these wires up. And I'm going to get rid of this light. I don't like aftermarket modifications. You hear it buzzing. Maybe that's why they pulled the tubes out of it. They could never get rid of the buzzing. So I'm going to look at the schematic, see where the across the line cap goes, and fix that right there. I'm going to drill a hole in this thing. Man, I cannot handle this crappy. Alright, I don't know how apparent this is, but I've taken the Dremel and I've cut a hole in the side of this tube socket where the pin is broken off, and what I'm going to do is feed a wire up through there and solder it. Now that light is supposed to be in parallel with that part of the filament, and the filament is basically center tapped at about 6.5 volts in, so that it doesn't blow the light bulb out, but we're going to just ditch the light anyway. Alright, I don't know if you can see what I've done there. I've wrapped the wire through, bent it around so there's a solid mechanical connection. Then I stuck an Allen key through there while I solder it, just to keep the hole clear where the tube pin goes. I wonder if the 60 Hertz buzz was coming from these wires running through the tuning capacitor there. Cut all this off. I'm going to get rid of it all. Put it back to stock. Okay, I'm going to put the good camera on this when I get done, but you can see the line comes in here and I cut it off. I cut that light out and it goes to a 33 ohm, and then it's going to connect down here to the pin that broke off. You can see here it comes in, goes to 27 ohm, which has been replaced with a 33, no big deal. And there should be a 0.05 there. I'm going to put this in there. It's the across the line capacitor, simply because we have that buzzing problem, and while I'm there I might as well do it. Okay, this is a chassis out of a computer monitor. This uses 0.22. Here's where the line comes in right there. This uses 0.22 safety caps, AC safety caps. They're a little bigger. I'm going to just put one of those in there. It's what I got here right now. Great thing is looking at the SAMs, you can see here that it was on this pin, and then here's the line cap here, but that one was unused. Alright, we're going to do an IF alignment, but first I want you to notice that there's...
Supplies last. $100 donation would send 4 soldier care packs. $50 sends 2. Whatever it is, do it now. Remember our troops. 844, the number 2 troops.
I don't know if I did that or if it was like that. Anyway, you'll notice there's no more humming in the audio.
6677. 844 numbers, but we have to have some consistency from all forwards as far as scoring. Regarding...
Let's pause 10 seconds so stations can identify themselves all across the Clippers radio network. The Dean of LA Sports is...
Ofrecer permiso de trabajo.
5 southbound, Westwood area. And into Corona, the 91 eastbound. Watch for delay.
This is buzzing. I gotta glue that. I have some speaker glue. Also looks like there's a crack up here too. I gotta glue those. But let's do a quick IF alignment. This is the can type. I'm going to use the, what is this, HP 8640. Put it on 455. One thing about, somebody asked me on the last video, where do I feed this in? This thing has so much power, it's really irrelevant where you feed it in. You could just lay it next to the thing and it would more than overpower it. But where I think I'm going to feed it in is just right here. This is the one going to the antenna. It's really not critical. I do have this on an isolation transformer because it's hot chassis. Oh. Boy, those are really broad. Okay, what have I got going on? Let's think of this, I wanna. I can't reach that one. Need a different tool.
Four centers. Libya take.
Travel advisory for everybody traveling this holiday season overseas to be alert. And this is why Donald Trump is doing so well, because there are huge amounts of voters who feel totally alienated and panicked. I mean, when you hear reports that what's happening there is, if we don't welcome the Syrian refugees, even though we can't vet them, it's going to make them madder. The terrorists are going to be madder because now you have...
Okay, I gotta glue this. And I do have actual speaker glue. I used to recone speakers. Professional. Like JBL and Sirwin Vega speakers. So this is actual appropriate speaker glue for reconing. Okay, I'll be the first one to admit this is not ideal, but this is the right glue. This is the same kind of glue as this right here, and the same glue that holds this on and the spider. So when this dries, that will be as good as factory. That'll never come apart again there. Alright, let's go over this real quick. We fixed that. We put our line filter capacitor in there. Got rid of that aftermarket light. Got the tube hooked up correctly here. Went through some other, aligned it. One thing I'd like to point out is this is kind of interesting. If I could get this to... I found this was never soldered from the factory. Never soldered from the factory. So I'm going to solder that. Oh, I redid the power cord. Believe it or not, this is how the power cord was done from the factory. But there's a look at the bottom. And here's a look at the top.
Contributing
factor.
An analysis of the calls coming into San Francisco's 911 dispatchers finds several reasons for the dramatic increase. And we did find that there was a high percent.
Love the, I brought it outside. I love the color rendering index of the clear mercury vapor light. It's the CRI of like 15.
And more cell phones on the streets of San Francisco than there were.
15 foul.
Let's start all the way at the bottom.
Reach in on trailer. That is his second personal.
Legend of Monte Cristo, only at Excalibur Cigar and Scotch Lounge, San Diego.
Have you heard the saying, jack of all trades? When you need cash right away, and you can't sit around and wait for a... Weren't into the game intensely, but I think tonight they know what's at stake, and they don't want to come this far and then fail to...
Past 22 years providing quality work and superior customer service. But one of the most rewarding experiences we've had as a company was to retrofit the entire Warrior Foundation Freedom Station with over 180 Milgard windows.
You can incorporate in just 10 minutes. Call 1-800-644-5587 for your free 10-minute incorporation guide. They don't provide legal or financial advice, just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. You wouldn't skydive without a permit.
After that, the Ducks head for Phoenix, Arizona, where the Ducks play a nearby...
And I can't speak for any other department but my own, the one I recently retired from, with 2,000 deputies there. And...
His mind worked very hard. Cut it off and sold it, said Della. Do you not?
In double figures. Yes, 10 points. Again, he had 11 on Sunday night in their loss to the Golden State Warriors. Warriors in action at Staples Center.
36B. 36B.
Over the shoulder, but traffic is often on flow from the 605 freeway interchange. And on the 10 freeway eastbound at the 110 downtown.
Remember me, standing in a nice dress, staring at the sunset, babe. Red lips and rosy cheeks. Say you'll see me again, even if it's just pretend.
Team members.
You're my heart, you're my soul. I'll be holding you forever.
Left being present, I should use.
En el Staples Center. Noviembre 16 fueron en el Staples.
De todos los radio escuchas, hemos tenido muy buenas.
¿Te acuerdas que la... del conejo?
그래서 이게 참 어떻게 보면 공평하다고도 할 수 있는데 그런 아픔들이 있는데 너무 가족들에 대한 그 책임감, 사랑이 지나친 사람들이 아마 이런 연예계에 나오는 것 같습니다.
예, 알겠습니다.
Él es Dios. 발목 인대가 끊어졌는데.
Works good. I don't think it works as good as that other radio I did, the All-American 5 one with the wire antenna wrapped around the case. Let me put this back in the case so we can see it in this beautiful low CRI light. Oh yeah, now that is awesome. There is a little bit of hum here. Like maybe it's got the wrong filters in it, but I didn't do that. I didn't do the filters.
Left and right moves, and yeah, we can get tested, blood and urine. Basically.
이것도 가능한 상황이거든.
Lo golpeó.
¿Qué está esperando?
Imagínate mismo para obtener la mejor oferta en deportes. I bode with him 50.
National Director of the Cone Resnick Advisory Group.
You know, some shit like art.
Tim, you know, with a community that's very aware and that is engaged, we're almost always going to have good clues. We're going to have technology, we're going to have, you know, maybe...
I think that's KTNN right there. Very bad selectivity, which could be seen in the IF transformers being so wide while I was adjusting it.
In Chicago.
Stations all running into each other. Let's do a comparison here. We got KFI, then we got KTNN, then we got the Arabic station.
New method. You guys have a new method, and again, I don't want to go too deep into it.
It's KFI 640.
Here. But you guys can almost...
KTNN.
لطفاً توجه بفرمایید که بالا رفتن اندازه مالیات بر درآمد همچنین مالیات بر ارث در زمان فوت واقعاً میتواند.
Then we got that. Okay, I'm going to get the other one I restored.
Whatever it's going to be a safe environment. We're going to work very hard, and we're prepared for any eventuality that may hit us. But I will say,
okay, there's KFI.
the Los Angeles Police Department will always work to keep the city of Los Angeles safe and the community safe, and we'll do whatever it takes.
I don't know, the selectivity is a little bit better on this one. The IF bandpass is narrower. It's a little too wide on this one where the stations are bleeding into each other.
Your forecast and trouble on the 405 next. I was talking with Sweet Jane.
It's interesting that both of them have the same squealing and the same buzzing on the same stations. At least that tells me that they're both working about the same, or working right.